And we are live. What's good, y'all? It's your man, DL Saint. Welcome. I really want to know, podcast, man, how y'all feeling out there? How y'all feeling? This is the second one we've done today. What's good, everybody, man? What's good? Um, what's good, player? I see you out there, man. Me and this brother right here, man, we got stories in Korea. Although in my old brain, I was, for whatever reason, man, I was just thinking you were brag with us. I had to really sit down, like, oh no. It was Korea. We were doing our thing in Itaewon. Good to see you, bro. Good to see you, man. Let's show you some Don DeMarco for you. So welcome to everyone who's out here, man. Brother, young brother Jack Black's in the building. Oops, wrong button as well. Good to see you, fam. Yeah, definitely gonna have some thoughts on this, man. So we're gonna talk about what happened at LaGuardia Airport last night. There was an incident on the runway which resulted in an aircraft crashing into an emergency response vehicle. 2 lives were lost. A lot of people were injured. We got to talk about this, man. We got to talk about air traffic control, what's going on now, what's the future, and what can be behind all this. So, let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed. So for those who don't know, at LaGuardia Airport last night, there was a horrific accident. Something that shouldn't have happened. In the air traffic control world, especially in a tower environment, this is not supposed to happen. So we're gonna start off with a CNN video where they're talking to some aviation official, and I don't know if it's going to be a pilot. I don't know if it's going to be an air traffic controller. I don't know, but I think that's a good way to start. We'll kind of listen to what they're saying, and I'll throw my 2 cents in. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a retired FAA air traffic controller, well over 20 years in the business. Worked some pretty busy towers in my day, some pretty busy airspace. So, and then in the Army, I picked up the skill in the Army. In 1990, I joined the United States Army. I was an air traffic controller in the Army, 93 Charlie, but I was a paratrooper. So what did that mean? That meant I was an air traffic controller who jumped out of airplanes with the grunts and did what we did. So I've been in this field, I've been in this business my entire adult life. And man, I'm here to tell you, bro, like this is the one thing. This is the thing that happened in DC, the thing that happened in DC, national, horrific, but that was still in the air as an aircraft trying to land, and it was a helicopter transitioning through, and we all know what happened there, a tremendous loss of life. But this thing right here on the runway, you're not supposed to have any issues on the runway. That is, and when something like this happens, I mean, it's almost always the air traffic controller's fault. And we're going to really get into the weeds on this one, guys. So it's going to be, I'm sure we're going to have aviation folks in the chat today. We're going to have some air traffic controllers in the chat today. And if I do recognize any air traffic controllers, nobody working on anything because I don't want them to get in trouble. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of things. But yeah, in the air traffic world, man, this is nightmare fuel, bro. This is the worst thing that could actually happen. And, things do happen in the business, but for them to actually come together. And in this particular instance, it was an aircraft and a vehicle. Again, man, I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, bro, you're right about that. We're going to talk about that too. I did a lot of training when I was in, and I noticed, along with all the odor controllers, we noticed that there was definitely a change in the standards as far as training, as far as there's just a difference in the caliber of controller. And there's definitely a generational difference. Like, we're dealing with millennials and the younger people coming in, they see the world differently. And you know, again, the FAA now has to deal with the everyone gets a trophy crew. You get the timeout kids. You got to deal with Americans. They're grown-ups now. You know, people who are grown up, they don't understand consequences and they've never been held accountable for their actions. And now they're in the field. Well, that's all happens to air traffic controllers. Every single day an air traffic controller is getting in trouble for something he or she did or something he or she said or didn't say. And you know, there's a big old book. The 7110.65 is the Bible for air traffic control, and it covers every single rule. There are so many rules in air traffic controller. It is impossible to get through a day and not break one of those rules. Just keeping it 100. And air traffic controllers know it, but we train and we pursue. Well, at least I did. I don't do that anymore. Perfection. The air traffic control manual, the Bible, is about perfection. We're human. You're never going to be perfect, but you try. You absolutely try. And I can remember training some of the young people and with phraseology. My thing was phraseology, like the words you're supposed to say. There are certain words that you must say, and there's certain ways that you must say it. That was my big thing, phraseology. And whenever an air traffic controller tells me, oh, I'm perfect on this, I'm perfect on that, I did everything right. Like, no, you didn't. That's the first thing. Without me hearing anything, I can tell you right now, having not heard this recording, which we're about to hear about what happened in LaGuardia, I can guarantee you the controller involved used improper phraseology. I can guarantee you phraseology, those are the words that we have to use. And there's a reason we use certain words. It's the reason air traffic controllers do that. And if you don't do it, if you don't use proper phraseology, you can confuse people and things can happen. And I'm telling you now, before I haven't even heard this thing, right? Before we get into it, I guarantee you we won't be able to go 15 seconds without a phraseology error. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I love being retired. I love being a retired air traffic controller. Because that job ain't no joke, especially if you're out there trying to do it right. So we're gonna start with the CNN video. We have it loaded up right here. I don't know who this FAA official is, but we're gonna, or this aviation expert is. We're gonna check it out. Hey, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, because you never know. Someone out there might know someone in media, and they might send them this video. I'm like, hey, we want to get that old bald-headed half-fro dude, this retired air traffic controller, to come on our platform and our news channel or whatever, and give us his take on what's going on. So please like, share, subscribe, all that, especially share. Send this to people because I'm retired and I can talk, right? I ain't got to sign. I didn't sign no NDA or anything like that. I'm done. I've been out of the business for long enough. So let's get into this, shall we? Here we go.
Here's the air traffic control tower speaking to that fire truck as the tragedy unfolded.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta. Truck 1.
Okay, how many seconds are we in? We're listening to the audio, right? How many seconds are we in? I've already heard an error. I've already heard an error. Cross 4? 4 what? What 4? Cross runway 4. Cross runway 4. I've already heard an error. That's how precise air traffic control is. And then, of course, FAA and the management will work hand in hand to try to sweep stuff under the rug. Oh, that's not that important. Yeah, I know the book says you must state runway. You must use the word runway in conjunction with a crossing. But, I mean, there was more stuff going on. I mean, that's not really that bad. But it's not perfect. And this, again, when air traffic controllers come and say, no, we good, we did everything perfect. No, you didn't. Because when you find yourself in court, the lawyer who's representing the grieving family members of the people who did not survive this crash are going to point that out. The United States government is going to have to pay money out on this one, a whole lot of money. They paid out a whole lot of money on the RJ and the Blackhawk and National, that crash. The FAA is in trouble. But let's keep going.
4 at Delta. Frontier 4195, just stop there, please. Stop. Stop.
Here's another huge A huge problem. He said, what was this? Guy was 41.95 or stop there, please. Frontier 41.95. Just stop there, please. Stop, stop, stop. Stop, stop, stop. Truck one, stop, stop, stop. The controller didn't know who he was talking to. He's telling Frontier 41.95 to stop. Is Frontier on frequency? We don't know. This controller's working multiple frequencies. That's another problem. But he's telling Frontier 41.95, just stop there, please. And then he says, stop, 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 stop. Truck one, stop, stop, stop. Truck one is the vehicle that he just gave permission to cross 4, which is runway 4. He just gave him permission to cross runway 4. Right? We're not into this already. And these are serious, in my opinion, these are serious phraseology issues. Controllers just don't drop their phraseology all of a sudden. This is how this controller talks all the time. You can probably go back and pull any tape and you're going to hear bad phraseology. But let's keep going.
Stop, truck one, stop, stop, stop. Stop, truck one, stop. Stop, truck one, stop. 646, I see you collide with vehicle in this whole position. I know you can't move.
And then he talks right away. Jazz 646, I see you collided with the vehicle. The people here talking to are no longer with us, man. They didn't survive the crash. They didn't survive the crash. It's just so sad. So the crew, the pilot and the co-pilot up front, they're no longer there. Like I said, this is nightmare fuel. This is the absolute worst case scenario, especially for a tower controller in the FAA. This is just, so he's saying, I see you collided with the vehicle. Why would you say that on frequency? Just hold position. I know you can't move. Vehicles are responding to you now. This controller has fallen apart. I'm gonna let the rest of this just play out, and we'll go back and we'll run the tape again in a second. But let's listen to the rest of this.
Vehicles are responding to you now.
Pete Montine, you're at Reagan National Airport for us. You're our aviation correspondent. Walk us through what you're learning, and I know you're learning a lot about how this investigation is unfolding.
What is very clear, Wolf, from the early data is that this crash occurred at very high speed. This Air Canada flight operated by Jazz Aviation had just touched down on runway 4 there at LaGuardia. That's one of the main runways there, and was still decelerating when this collision occurred at around between 115 and 90 knots. So that's the unit used, the nautical unit used in aviation, meaning this crash occurred between 130 and 100 miles an hour. You have to think of this like the force you would see in a T-bone collision that you would see on the highway. 2 cars traveling at this is roughly the same. Of course, it will be up to investigators.
And, you know, when you read the initial reports and the things that I was reading online from USA Today and then like some local affiliates, the New York Post, they all kept saying that the aircraft was doing 24 miles an hour. 24 miles an hour. And right away, it's like, nope. The aircraft just landed. So like you said, he was doing in excess of 100 miles per hour. Now, you have a couple radars that are in play here. You have the standard radar that they use, the ARCH radar, that's going to take care of the aircraft in the sky. You got that radar. And you also have a ground-based radar, the ASDX. Both radar systems track speed. So they should know, they may know how fast the truck was going, because that would have been depicted on the ASDX. Maybe, maybe not, depending on how they had their settings and all that set up. But they definitely know how fast the jet was going. So we're talking about a horrific crash. And again, the truck was given permission. This is training 101. This is the stuff that you learn on day one when you're doing training in the tower. After you get after you've done your classroom, after you've done your sims, this is the things you learn right away, especially with vehicles. Once you give a vehicle permission to cross the runway, man, they are gone. They are gone, bro. It is really difficult. Maybe the airport ops will listen to you and not move, but they are gone. They are ready to go, and man, they go. And you add to the fact that this was an emergency response vehicle on an active emergency response. Like we have Jazz Aviation lined up here. It's going to have more radio communication, so we can really break down what was going on in that tower cab. But this was horrific, guys. Absolutely horrific.
to determine exactly where and when this collision occurred. Although I want you to look at the early data from Flight Radar 24, in which they plot out point by point which point Air Canada Express Flight 8684 was going down the runway and then approached taxiway Delta, which is the point you heard in that air traffic control audio where this truck, referred to as Truck 1 on the air traffic control audio, was told to cross across the runway. Then you heard the tower controller there in the control tower at LaGuardia frantically tried to stop that truck. Then in that data, you see a bit of continuation of data there to taxiway Echo. That's about halfway down the runway. That seems to be where everything ultimately came to a stop.
Man, look at the damage that was done to that aircraft. Look at the damage, man. That was, man, all that energy, man, like all that speed into that vehicle, into that heavy, hardened fire truck. Look at that, man. This is the stuff, again, this is nightmare fuel. This is, again, there's a severe air traffic controller shortage around the country. There might be some controllers who are just ready to give it up. And LaGuardia, like, you know what? Young controllers who just started, they might say, you know what? This isn't worth it. I'm out. Older controllers are like, hey, I'm close enough to retirement. I'm out. You're going to have people, you know, we don't know who was in the tower, and we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. Staffing and all that's going to come out in the wash. But look at the damage done to that aircraft.
Because of the physics involved here. I want you to listen now to this very telling air traffic control audio that occurred about 18 minutes after the collision itself, in which a controller in the tower seems to say, I messed up. Here.
That wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know I was here. I tried to reach out to my stuff. We were dealing with an emergency earlier. I messed up.
No, man, you did the best you could.
Important to remember here that this fire truck was responding to another incident on the airport involving a United Airlines flight that had to abort its takeoff twice. There was concern about some odor coming from likely the brakes there. It's especially hard on an airplane when you have to stop very quickly in aborting a takeoff. Some big questions here about the communications, where the actual breakdown occurred. We know, even from the investigation of the January 29, 2025 mid-air collision, only a few paces from here at Reagan National Airport, that radio transmissions can be imperfect. Pilots can do what's called stepping on one another, where they're both transmitting at the same time, making transmissions and radio transmissions garbled and unintelligible. And so that can be something that is at play here. Also, of course, the fatigue of the air traffic controllers. This occurred very late at night, and we know air traffic controllers are really stretched to the limit. Many working 6-day weeks of 10-hour shifts, mandatory overtime because of a years-long nationwide shortage of air traffic controllers. Of course, something the NTSB will look into here, as it is just beginning its investigation and just gathering all of the evidence. The airport closed until at least 2 p.m., likely could be closed later as investigators sort out everything on the scene there.
Miles, you know a lot.
So you heard that initial reporting there. This person, this next person here, maybe this is the aviation expert. We're going to let this play as well in a second. Brother Carlos is in the building, bro. What's happening, fam? And we're going to get into this, but I do believe that the controller was in the tower by himself. And we'll get into that here in the second half of this particular video. But man, look, the FAA, if the FAA was under the microscope and in the hot seat after the midair collision at National, right now, I think the FAA management doesn't know what to do. They have no answers. There are no more controllers in the pipeline. You can't get controllers there. The only option they would have is to try to go get controllers who are retired, and those controllers ain't coming back. That's like asking somebody to come back to the Alamo that knows what's going on. Like, you want me to come where? Yeah, man, won't you come on back to the Alamo? don't worry about them Mexicans over there, man. It's all good, man. Why don't you come on back to the Alamo? Like, nah, I think I'll just sit here. I think I'll just watch. Right. So it's like, yeah, man, no tower ground on the same. Look, there was one controller working all the frequencies. That's what I think was going on. And we'll get into technique stuff, what I would have tried to do. But under these circumstances, it was a lot going on. It was enough going on that this controller was behind the power curve. And then the question becomes, okay, what's the skill set? What is this the skill level of this particular controller? Is this a guy that works airplanes every single day? Is this a controller who is mostly downstairs doing paperwork and is allowed to come up and work just a couple hours just to stay current so they can count him as an active air traffic controller? Or is this a supervisor who hardly ever works the airplanes because he's not supposed to, because his job is to be the soup? There's so many questions out here, bro. But let's listen. And Charlton, man, shout out to Guardian Radio. Was the last time you heard that? Shout out to Guardian Radio. I wonder if that's still there in Youngstown, man. Yeah, man. They are separate, but lots of towers do work. I think what was going on here in LaGuardia is they were giving breaks to the guys who were going to be working the midship. But anyway, we'll get into that in a second. Or maybe this was the guy working the mid. But we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, JC is absolutely correct.
About these kinds of horrible developments. The NTSB is leading the investigation right now. What is it likely focusing on, at least right now?
This, Wolf, is all about air traffic control, and in this case, one particular controller in the tower cab who gave permission, cleared for landing that Air Canada regional jet, and also gave permission for that emergency vehicle to cross the same runway at the same time. Listening to him on the radio and the recordings, as it becomes evident what is going to happen is very difficult, frankly, because it's the realization of it becomes quite evident, put it that way. He tries to stop the emergency vehicle, but it was obviously too late. So the context of this, though, Wolf, is that you've got, an air traffic control system that for a long time has been bursting at the seams. Air traffic control staffing is still quite deficient. There's mandatory overtime required for air traffic control personnel. There's probably some fatigue issues that will be looked at by the National Transportation Safety Board. And one other thing, Wolf, this runway at LaGuardia, runway 4, has a runway status lighting system, which is a technology designed to stop and prevent what happened here. It's supposed to detect active use of the runway and turn on some red lights on those approaches to the runway, which would indicate to that truck that this was not a good idea to cross that runway. It will be interesting to see if that system was operating properly, and if it was, did the emergency responders focused on their mission to deal with yet another emergency, maybe didn't see it.
And yeah, he's talking about systems. We'll leave it there. He's talking about systems that do exist, but if the tower tells you to cross and you have some red lights in front of you and you're waiting for that controller to turn the lights off, or there's some sort of confusion or whatever, the minute those guys here cross driving the vehicles, they're going to cross. So what he's saying, yeah, I hear him. Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, but not really. I don't think it would have stopped this thing. Damn, that's the controller's job. And you're going to hear people continue to talk about the air traffic controller shortage. But here's the thing. People will point out that, man, the controllers were working and they were doing all this stuff for decades. What's happened now? What's different now? Well, what's different is those controllers who have that expertise, those controllers who possess the techniques and the skills to work multiple positions at once, those controllers who know how to control the traffic by slowing things down, by not giving permission for an aircraft to cross until you can really look. When a controller realized that, they're down a crapper, right? They're down the tubes. These are ATC, what I mean? It's like, bro, I'm down a crapper right now, man. I'm not moving anybody. Those controllers have retired. Those controllers are few and far between. It used to be that you would have 6 controllers there, and 5 of those controllers were top tier controllers. They can handle whatever. One was kind of like, maybe this guy shouldn't be certified. This guy's kind of like on the bubble, but we really need another body here. So we're going to certify this guy, but he's going to be surrounded by good controllers and he'll get better. That's been like the thing forever, right? Well, here's the problem. You got all these people who were barely able to make it. All these people who were just barely on the edge. So you would have 5 solid controllers and 1 shaky controller. Well, now the opposite is probably true. You got 5 extremely shaky controllers, and you might have 1 controller that knows what he or she is doing. That 1 controller can't look out for everyone else. Is impossible. And that 1 controller obviously wasn't in the tower when this thing happened. So, I mean, that's what's going on. And if you ask any controller who's been in the game, they'll let you know that that's the case. The people who are the people who are currently working now, they can't tell you. They can't come up and tell the truth and let you know how jacked up the system is. This has been going on for at least half my career. You got people who were not certified, people who should not have been certified are now working as air traffic controllers on their own, and they're tasked to do a job that they can't really do. We got Brother Paul Bennett in the building, man. Let me show you some love. Don Marco to you, fam.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, bro. And just for anyone out there, Brother Paul is not an air traffic controller, but he wanted to jump on. He hit me up like, yo, what's going on? Are you going to talk to me?
When I saw and I was like, yo, because I was just waiting for you to come on because I know you've done such a great job. I know last year with the incident in DC, and I really appreciated the way you broke it down in terms of just the process, how you become certified as that, and what are some of the things that would have happened. So again, you traced it all the way back. This goes back to the Reagan era, which is scary to me. So you're talking about 40-some years ago when he fired all those air traffic controllers. And they've still been not been able to restaff it ever since. And now it's just getting worse. Now I live in the Northeast area. Like I'm about an hour from LaGuardia, an hour from JFK, 40 minutes from the Newark, and an hour from Philly. So I'm in the hub where all this is going on. My wife and I are flying out Monday night for our anniversary, getting down to Puerto Rico for a few days. And then my daughter, she's coming in this weekend. Shout out to Scam. What's going on, sir? My daughter's flying in. She's at medical school in Grenada, so she comes out of LaGuardia on a regular, but this time she's coming back in Newark, so she'll be here on Friday, whatnot. So yeah, so we're frequent travelers up here, and just with all this activity going on, I did a lot of travel, commuter travel for work, certainly over the summer into this year. We had delay. I was flying into Jacksonville every week, and we had delays every week because there was the shortages at the Newark airport in terms of personnel. So I think they finally kind of got that sorted out. But then there's something else. And then you got the TSA workers not getting paid. So it's just a very it's an uneasy time right now. And now you're going to have the ICE agents working at the airports now. So it's just like, what is going on? It's just like one thing after another. It's just like a cascade of events that are going on. It's like, man, so I'm just wondering what the ripple effect, and not to mention the gas prices, with the war. So you don't know if the airlines are going to start, you're going to see those airline fares start to spike and whatnot, because they're going to pass that on to the consumer, any gas hikes. So it is just a crazy time to be a traveler at this point in time. And but like I said, man, the way you broke it down last year, I had to, I was giving you big props back then. I'm just saying, can they draft you back in service, bro? What would it take?
They can't afford me, bro. Ain't no way I'm going back. Nah. Nope. I won't even. And it's one of those things too, because people are like, well, would you consider just training? Would you consider like just being downstairs, working with one of the contract companies and just doing classroom and doing sims and tabletop training? Mm-hmm. And bro, I got to tell you, the answer is no. And the reason why is the trainers are going to be working just as hard as the air traffic controllers, because they're going to be shoving people through, as many people as they can. And there's so much pressure. They wouldn't want me there training folks, because I'm very detailed when I do my debriefs, and I write everything down. Once I begin to see a pattern, like, okay, this person they can't seem to get right. That's when you begin to write everything down. In the beginning, make some mistakes, whatever. Hey, don't do that. Hey, look out for that. We're focused on this, so I'm going to forget about that for now. We're going to get this under control, and then we're going to build on it, and we're going to get that under control, and then we're going to build on it. But when you get to a point when they just can't seem to get it right, and it's like, okay, now I got to start writing this up. Now I need a paper trail. But one of the things that people don't realize when it comes to training, it doesn't matter what was in any of your training documentation. It does not matter. Like if this guy had a problem with call signs, if this guy had a problem with using proper words like phraseology, it wouldn't show up. Because once you get certified, once you make it out of the classroom, they only keep one training form. And that's the training form that says that you qualified to do whatever it is you're supposed to do. That's it.
Right.
You can't go look at all that other stuff. That other stuff is gone. They get back in the day when I came up, they would give the trainee all of their paperwork. Here's all your training forms. You certified. Congratulations. You made me go burn them.
Now, when you say certified, it's a question I never got a chance to ask before. Are there levels in terms of the places you can work? I mean, it's one thing to be working like at a rural airport somewhere or a place where you don't have traffic versus, like I said, LaGuardia, JFK, LAX. Those are like the busiest airports in the world. So I'm thinking that you have to be like the best of the best in order to work in those locations, just based on the volume. But could you start out like at a small airport and then sort of build up, your career to work at the busy ones? Is that how it works? Or is when you say someone is certified that they should be able to work in any airport in certainly in the US? Is that what that means?
That's how they would like it to work, man. But honestly, you can come out of the FAA Academy in Oklahoma and go straight to Miami, Atlanta, LAX.
Wow.
The busiest. So as far as air traffic control goes, the busiest, the top facilities are ATC 12, like a 12 facility. That is it. You go into the majors, bro. So it's kind of like, think of, you remember that movie, what is it, Enemy at the Gates, when they were talking about the Battle of Stalingrad? And you had all these. So you had all these soldiers running into Stalingrad, and they give one guy the rifle, and they get a guy behind him the bullets. And they're like, hey, when the guy with the rifle falls, you pick up the rifle and you use your bullets.
Yeah.
That's kind of where FAA is now with staffing. Wow. They're like, we just need to get bodies in there because you got all this political pressure, you got all this other pressure going on. We need to get bodies in there. Now, when you certify, it means you're good. Whether you certifying at an ATC 4 or 5 facility, I guess AT5 or 6 or 9 or a 12, once you certify, you certify. But ideally, the FAA would love to start controllers at the lowest level possible, let them kind of cut their teeth there, like you said, some small rural airport somewhere, and then move them to a more busier facility. So I'll give you some examples. Like I was in California for the majority of my career. They would love to hire you into a place like Santa Monica, which I think Santa Monica is no longer under FAA control, but when I was in, it was in. But Santa Monica is a small airport, but it's a busy place. So it might be small, but the complexity level was so high that they would lose so many controllers. So it's like,
I was talking more so in terms of like just traffic, like on how many flights per day, how many planes in the air, that sort of thing, like something that because again, you certain like Jacksonville is like a breeze. That's like my favorite because where I go, I could either go into Jacksonville, or go to ATL. I pick Jacksonville every single time. I'm in and out of Jacksonville like that. It's no stress getting in and out of there. Atlanta, that's another deal. So that's what I was thinking about more so the. Again, like I said, start with a rural, maybe just a local local airport where you got private planes that just come in, private jets or prop planes, whatever, and you just kind of build up from there until you get into a, like you said, the major leagues as you're talking about. But I think that's probably what's missing. They probably do need like a legit minor league system where you get these guys up to snuff.
So you look at LaGuardia, you look at what's the other one? JFK. Yeah. And then across the river there, you got Teterboro.
Yeah.
Right. I would rather work at LaGuardia or JFK before I go to Teterboro. Teterboro is that's the small place with the business jets and all, because it's so non-standard. The bigger the airport, the more standard the operation flows. And it's just easier to run it. But when you go, like I worked at Van Nuys for the vast majority of my career. Most people who aren't in aviation, like, what's Van Nuys? Some little airport in San Fernando Valley out there in LA? Like, yeah. But Van Nuys, when I was there, at its peak was the 10th busiest tower in the system.
Wow.
and you've never heard of it. It was like we ran numbers.
Right.
The numbers we ran there was so crazy that when the people came in to do the official count, they just stopped counting and they were left. It's like, yeah, there's no way we can really count how many operations these people are running here. And you had this mix of airplanes. Then you go someplace like Miami, which was always tied with Van Nuys back in the day. You go to Miami and it's like, yeah, Miami is more structured, but the complexity level with Miami, dealing with weather, dealing with, other elements, it was way different than Van Nuys. But coming out of Van Nuys, I had no problem working the tower there. I sat back, man, feet up half the time, like, oh, this is cool. But when it got bad, and I'm kidding, guys, I didn't actually sit there and work with my feet up when there's airplanes everywhere. We were paying attention.
Right.
But when it got bad, like the worst situations that I encountered at Miami versus the worst situations at Van Nuys, Miami was way more complicated. And you had these really big jets, and you had air carriers. You had all these people on these airplanes. At Van Nuys, you got your Gulfstream or Challenger. It might be a handful of people on the plane.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But yeah, man, hurricanes, but just dealing with the stuff we were dealing with in Miami, but I loved it. I really did. My one regret in my career is I didn't stay in the Miami area. Like it was so much going on with life that I decided to go back to California. It was best for what was going on in my life. But as far as my career, I should have stayed in Miami. I should have stayed in the Miami area. I really loved it there. But I know what you're thinking is like, man, tell me, how bad is this? I gotta be honest with you, bro. We're in a bad state right now. Brother Carlos was saying in the chat, he was like, hey, they're gonna bring the military back, because when the strike happened back in the 80s, they brought the military in. They can't. They might do it for, shits and giggles, just because it looks good to say, oh, we got military controllers to the rescue. But whenever in air traffic, right? If you're working at LaGuardia and you used to work at JFK, you took a job at LaGuardia, you left JFK as a regular controller, you took a supervisor job, or you took a controller job at, and now you want to go back, you still got to go through the training program. Whenever you go to another facility, you have to go through the training program. Yeah.
Makes
and
sense.
it should.
It's a cadence, right? It's yes, there's the stuff on the books, but there's a rhythm. You got to get comfortable with your teammates. There's a rhythm that's there. With any airport, it's going to have its own. Even as airports as close as they are, they're like an hour apart from each other. And I would absolutely. So that makes perfect sense to me that you would have the need for that. And certainly with LaGuardia, it's almost like it's a new airport. I mean, certainly with JFK, and I mean, it literally, they just rebuilt everything. I mean, more I guess was it the stations, where the planes line up. They built new terminals, and it's like it's a whole new setup. So I'm saying, even for the people who were there's got to be like a training on this new system and new runway. I mean, the whole area, all the three major airports in this area, they've all undergone like $1 billion renovations in the last 10 years. And even that, like the renovations mean more to the airport than it does to the controllers. The controller, the frequencies, the intra-communication systems or the intra-communication system. This is what you're training on. Like, what is the frequency for this position? What is the frequency for that position? Where are the backup frequencies for those positions? What's the emergency frequency? Where do I access this? How do I get that? Where are the light gun signals? It's so many things you have to learn. Even if you've been there for 20 years, when you come back. Yeah. So when they talk about, oh, we got a new taxiway. All right, that's cool. You know what I mean? And like we show the flow, we figure out how to use that. That's the easiest part. The hardest part is remembering all these other things. Remember the route. What routes are we using? The biggest thing with air traffic control really isn't what's going on at the airport. It's what's going on around the airport. How are these airplanes moving? How do the airplanes get from here to there? What points are we supposed to get them to? What looks funny? One of the things you got to teach controllers is that isn't right. That airplane shouldn't be there. And this is part of the training. The controller has to notice that and identify that this is a potential problem. Who do I need to notify about this airplane being out of position? Is it the person standing next to me, or is it the person that's 20 miles away at another radar facility? Because you're plugged in talking to all these people. So that's the complex part about air traffic control. The problem is when you certify folks who
really didn't demonstrate the ability to do the job. They really didn't meet the standard. They were slightly below the standard.
Mhm.
This is what happens down the road. At some point, that controller is going to be working airplanes, and there's not going to be anyone there to check their work. And that's what I think happened here. You got this guy up here just on his own, and he, like he said, I messed up. Duh.
Yeah.
So, are we going to continue to see this sort of thing? Yes. There was an incident that happened at in Newark, if I'm not mistaken, where two airplanes almost collided. They were intersecting runways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That was massive. That's under investigation. Dude, they might run out of investigators with the NTSB. There's so many things going on. Something happened at Burbank not too long ago. Was almost a midair involving a helicopter. They changed all of the procedures for helicopters in Southern California.
Right.
There was an issue in San Diego, Lindbergh, where you had a controller put an airplane on a runway, and it seems like he forgot about it. Another airplane almost landed on top of him. I mean, and this is just, I haven't been covering it because I've been too busy. I'm like, oh, I got him. I'm like, oh, I want to talk about this one day. And then this happened. So, are there any questions like you have of me? Why you got me before I get into
and I won't be on you long. I'm gonna mess up your flow, but so obviously with this story and as others, they talk about again where the problems were. It's almost like it's a dam with a lot of holes in it, right? You have the inexperience of the people who were there. What's going on, Mandrell? All the experienced people there, the systems themselves are a bit aged out. They talk about these guys being overworked. I think LaGuardia, they need like 60 agents, but they only got like 30, like they got half of it. So these guys are working over. It's like a lot of things. Does it feel to you like there is like this dam with many holes in it, or are there certain things you point to? Is it more so just a lack of experience of these guys, or that we're putting people who are not don't have the experience or not the proper certification or proper training to be in the field? Because I'm thinking if you have that, you can overcome like if systems outdated, 30-year-old systems or whatever. If you're experienced enough, you can kind of overcome some of that. But where do you really think if you were at the helm of the agency, what your top three initiatives? What would you, if you were getting carte blanche to say, this is how we're gonna fix this? Where are you going?
If I were at the helm and I was the top FAA guy, it would kind of be like those Navy captains. When a Navy captain looks around and he realizes that we're about to be destroyed, this is all over, and they turn around and they start shaking hands to people around them, say it's a pleasure serving with you, when they all realize like, yeah, we're about to go down with this ship. That's where the FAA is right now.
That's really
that's where the FAA. You can't fix this overnight. It took decades to get here. It's going to take decades to get out. So the FAA uses the analogy in every training we do. We got some people in the chat right now know what I'm talking about. They use the Swiss cheese analogy, right? You got two slices of Swiss cheese with all them different holes. And, every now and then them holes line up just a certain way to where something could get through all those cracks. And that's what we're seeing now. And the biggest holes in the Swiss cheese right now are these controllers who shouldn't be certified. The problem was you would get a controller. Let's say you had a facility where it's like, okay, we're at 100%. You have to reach this bar 100% to certify it. Everyone here has reached this bar. Every single controller here reached this bar. And then Billy comes in. Billy's your son. Billy comes in. Billy grew up in the facility because you worked there, and now you're retired, and Billy's there, and I'm there. And Billy is like at 98%. He just can't get the last 2% to get over the hump. He's at 98%. But we need more controllers. And we've watched out people who were at 99%, but Billy's at 98%. We knew him. It's like, look, he's going to get better. Like his trainer's like, bro, sign this dude off so I can go and take my promotion and go somewhere else. And okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to let Billy get through. So now we went from 100 to 98. And then it just continues to go down because now someone comes in and it's like, okay, now they're at 93. Well, you certified this one guy who was like at 89. So we can't wash out this guy who's at 93. So you got to certify him. So, okay, boom. Now you're at 89. And it got to a point we're probably that 100% bar is probably somewhere around 22%. That's where we are right now. When people are just getting certified, and there's so much pressure from above, like certify this person. We need to be able to use this person as what they call a half counter. Like, okay, he or she's not going to be able to talk to the airplanes. That's too much for him. But they can talk to the airplanes that are parked and give them flight plans. You know, they might be able to talk to the airplanes who are just taxiing out. They can do that really good. They're just no good at dealing with the airplanes in the air. Yeah. So they'll just sign them off on like halfway through just so they can be used. So now you got a person that you can use for coverage. So now it's like, okay, I can let this person, you know, go home. I don't have to use overtime anymore because I got this person that can cover. So you got that going on. And the holes in the Swiss cheese are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And what the FAA is going to do, what they're going to do is going to be the mother of all knee-jerk reactions. And what they're going to do is they're going to make it so hard to move airplanes around. They're going to have so many different procedures that basically is going to be a paralysis of the national airspace system. Controllers who know how to do the job, their hands are going to be tied. They're not going to be able to work those busy sessions to get everything moving and unjam the system. The system is just going to be in a constant state of being clogged. And that's where we're going to be. Just like, you know, trying to get into TSA, right? It's like, it's going to be the same thing in the tower. So once you deal with the nightmare of waiting 5 hours to get in, you know, get through TSA, you're going to get into the airport. You're going to have to wait another 3 hours waiting for your airplane to take off because the FAA doesn't want any situations where it's too complicated for their controllers who are not certified, basically, or not, or should not have been certified. So I think that's what you're going to see.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe like the system got, I mean, because again, 50 years ago, air travel was like a luxury, right? Like I remember growing up, like in the 70s, if you traveled, it wasn't like you didn't have $99 fares from New York to Miami or, you know, to Tampa or South Carolina. I mean, it just became such a boom like in the 80s and the 90s where just cheap fares was just a thing where it went. Because I remember I was looking at some old magazines like from the 70s and like Pan Am and whatnot. You had the 747. It was luxury. You had the luxury lounges. Now they're bringing all that back, especially with the Emirates Airlines. They kind of bringing that kind of swag back to it. But flying was not for everybody. It wasn't. But it became such a massive part of it's just like regular commuting on a train or a bus or anything else that we're so dependent on it now. Did the demand for travel outgrow our, even in the 80s, even when we had all those trained people, did the demand for travel outgrow our capacity to be able to handle this kind of volume on a regular basis?
No, I don't think so, because the big facilities are still busy. You know, Atlanta's still bumping the ground in LAX, Miami, Chicago, O'Hare. You know, you got the radar facilities that are really complex and busy. Same ones. Those busy towers are fed by, like, you know, these radar facilities. I think what's going on now, like to your point, it became more affordable, and it became almost to the point where you have these monopolies. Remember, it used to be a whole bunch of airlines out there.
Yeah.
And Southwest came around and just like knocked out all those little regional, you know, fly by night airports or what, air operations or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it got to the point where, you know, people can afford to travel. And now our society depends on it. Like, you can't take a bus from Miami to Atlanta. And you know, how many days you need to get on to get there on time? You can't. Yeah. People are dependent upon it. With this war and the price of oil and like diesel's going up and all this kind of stuff, flights are going to get more and more expensive. True. So you're going to see less and less people, you know, flying. There was a story. I think some girl and her friend drove a U-Haul from Orlando all the way to Atlanta because their flights kept getting canceled and they couldn't get home. They had to go home. So they took a U-Haul. I guess that's the only thing they could, you know, rent. So you're hearing those stories, but I mean, they're going to have to fix this. Our society is dependent upon air travel. And when it comes to air traffic control, they're going to do everything they can to try to figure out a way to mitigate this thing. And again, it's going to take 2 generations to get out of this problem. You just can't get enough people willing to do it. And the controllers who are working these busy facilities, they're working 10-hour days, 6 days a week. That's the legal limit that they're allowed to work. If the FAA could, they'll have them working 7 days a week and have them working 15-hour days. So, and the controllers that I know at these busy facilities, they were burnt out 2 years ago. Imagine where they are now. Like they were burnt out 2 years ago, bro. And they go into work with that 1,000-year stare. Like, bro, where you going to the A-Shot Valley? You going where you been, Fallujah? Like, nah, man, I've been here at work. So yeah, man. I mean, it's gonna get a little worse before it gets better. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna see more aircraft coming together on runways in the sky. I mean, we these near misses are like almost every day now. Near misses. And it's just going to continue still, even with all this, still the safest form of travel. People hate when I say it. They're like, man, I'm like, it's still the safest form of travel.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm a drop off. But again, I just appreciate you. I appreciate your ability to have the professionalism that you show in everything that you do, especially when talking on these subjects, but you have the humor that goes with it as well. You're just very enjoyable just to listen to and to watch. And I just appreciate your grind. And, so just keep being a voice out here and just sharing your experience and your information with people, because I think it's really needed in this time. And I thought last year, you was like, I was sharing your stuff with everybody I could. It's like, you need to listen to this brother, because you were definitely dropping knowledge to people. So I just really want to just come up and just say thank you for the things that you've been doing, for real.
Bro, I'm honored. Thank you very much, man. That's what's up, man. Shout out to you, Don DeMarco, to you.
Appreciate it. And there was a question, there was a question brother asked about the AI and the virtual stuff. So I'll listen for your answer to that, surely on the way out. But I think that was a good question as well, as far as could that be the future? Could AI help out with this? But I'll let you rock with that. But you have a great night.
I'm here for you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you need me, brother, I'm here for you, man. I'll come over and I'll come over here to Black Man in the Filters World, man. If just holler at me. I'm here for you. Appreciate you.
I got you. Appreciate you. Take care. Bye.
Peace. So AI. What about the AI and virtual towers? Weren't they working on that? Yes, they were working on that. Can AI do it? Not right now. Not right now. And I've had this discussion with a lot of people in the business, man. AI just can't do it. And the reason, if you're gonna have AI take over air traffic now, especially you, brother Carlos, you would hate it, because they would have to do away with VFR flight, right? And that's what that 1200 means. Like they would have to do away with just VFR, squawking 1200 and just going out flying, which is a privilege in America that no one else in the world can do what we can do here in America when it comes to aviation. You can just get in your plane and start flying. And if we want the computers to take over air traffic control, that has to go away, because the AI algorithm isn't at a space where it can figure out the randomness that we see. There's this. The pilots know the airspace. Pilots will fly right up to the border of the airspace legally where they're supposed to be, and then they'll go and do whatever they want to do. That will drive a computer crazy. Like the computer will just start smoking. It won't know what to do, and it won't allow the airplanes to descend or climb, or they'll be giving vectors to airplanes that don't need vectors, because the AI isn't smart enough to understand how to move these aircraft. Now, I'm not saying that an AI can't be developed to do it, but how much money would that cost? And like these virtual towers are good, but they require cameras, and they require things that, like, basically a virtual tower is just, I'm sitting in my house and I can work ground control at Van Nuys Airport, and they just give me a virtual rig, and I can look at my computer and I can see the airplanes moving around. And they have cameras, so I can move cameras around to look outside and see what's going on. So I'm remotely, I could be here in Florida, and I could be working in an airport in California. Just like the drone pilots be flying drones all over the world. It's kind of like that, right? They've been working on this technology for a very long time, and the technology is cool. And it's one of those things where it works under controlled conditions. But you open yourself up to so many, like, just imagine a cyber attack. Just imagine you can shut down towers because you can shut down the feed to the remote controllers who are wherever they are. And I don't think we're there yet. But like air traffic controller work release program, bro. Free air traffic controllers, man. For real. And Montreal's in the building. I forgot to give Montreal his due. Yeah, man. Right now, first class Emirates to Dubai, man, you could probably get them to pay you $20 to take that flight, man. Like right now, ain't nobody messing with Dubai, the UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. Ain't nobody messing around over there, man. Iran got that on lock, bro. Iran ain't playing. Iran ain't playing. So so we're gonna listen now. What we're gonna do, we're gonna listen to Voss Aviation. Shout out to Voss. This is the more complete, the extended version of the radio calls that were going on, so we can hear what was going on. This is about a 5-minute video. So we're gonna listen to this, guys, and what I want you guys to pay attention to is how busy things got for this guy, how fast things jumped off. Like, he's dealing with one emergency. You got one aircraft out there. You got an aircraft out there that has some sort of problem. There's some fumes. People are getting sick. His crew's getting sick, and the captain, the co-captain, and the co-pilot talking to the tower, which is the guy who was in charge of this, gave permission to the truck to cross. He's dealing with this emergency. It's a legit emergency. Like, okay, we're declaring an emergency. We need to get back to the gate so we can get these people off. We got these fumes. We don't know what they are. It's making people sick. Okay, that's your emergency. Okay, so you should know where that aircraft is. You know where they are. Why? Because you put them there. You've been dealing with this aircraft because they tried to take off a couple times. They couldn't. So if your techniques are solid, you put this aircraft in a place to where he's out of the way and he's not a real issue. And some people say, well, man, this is priority. You got to get him back to the gate. Well, the gate, his company didn't have a gate for him to get back to, but they were saying, hey, we'll bring out the mobile stairs so they can get off the plane. And if it's bad enough, the crew can just pop the doors wherever they are, pop the slides and slide up out that airplane. I mean, if it's bad enough, that's what they do. So you put the aircraft in a position where he's out of the way and you don't have to worry about that aircraft at the particular moment. You just come back and deal with it later. That's not what happened here, from what I'm hearing. So this guy is fixated on this aircraft. So they've declared an emergency. There's emergency vehicles out here on the field. Now, I don't know what's going on, but that tells me that the controller notified the emergency vehicles and told them to come out. So the emergency vehicles are on their way to that aircraft. Again, this is why you want to put the aircraft out of the way. You want to put them in a position where crash rescue can get to them without having to cross any runways. They can cross some taxiways, but not cross a runway, right? Again, this is air traffic control 101. Get this aircraft out of the way so you can continue to work. The machine still moves. You still got airplanes that need to land. You got airplanes that need to take off. You got airplanes that need to taxi. You still got a job to do. Get this emergency out of the way. That's what I would have done. That's what most people in the field, most senior controllers would have done. Like, all right, let's get this guy out of the way. That doesn't appear to have happened. So this controller is fixated on this emergency aircraft. You're going to hear him talking to other people. He's calling the gates. Hey, do you guys have a gate? So he's calling the company of that particular aircraft to see if they got a place to parking. They're saying no. Meanwhile, there's other people calling for taxi instructions. There are people calling, checking in, trying to land. You got all this stuff going on. At that point, as an air traffic controller, this is when you got to say, all right, I need to slow everything down. This is the triage part of ATC. All right, this is what's going on. I'm only going to talk to the airplanes that are landing right now. So I'm going to talk to the guy that's about to land. I want to talk to the guy that's 4 miles behind him. That's the only people I want to talk to right now. And anyone that calls me, if I'm working in this situation, I'm the only guy in the tower, allegedly, and I'm working all these different frequencies, I'm putting everybody on one frequency. Everyone come to my frequency over here. I want you on this frequency so they can hear each other talking. You see, the thing with air traffic control is the controller has all these different frequencies he's listening to. The pilots can only hear the people that are on their frequency. They can't hear the other people talking. So they're going to key up and they're going to be blocking or talking over the people you're trying to listen to. And it's all coming through your ear. You can put it on a speaker, but it's all jumbled. So there's so many techniques that you can do. It's like, okay, I'm going to take the ground frequencies. I'm going to put them on speaker. If I hear anything coming through the speaker, that's someone calling me on ground. And when I'm ready to talk to them, I'm going to tell them to come to my frequency over here because I'm working the tower. So I'm like, all right, Calling ground control, if you don't catch their call sign, you just heard someone calling, hey, calling ground control, change to my frequency, whatever the frequency is. And then they come over to your frequency. Now they can hear everyone else talking. They can hear you dealing with the emergency. They can hear the guy that you just cleared the land. They can hear the guy that you're giving taxi instructions to the ramp. They can hear the person that's waiting to take off. So that's going to help you a little bit. That's going to take care of a third of your problems. But again, this didn't happen. And my question is, was this controller ever taught this technique? Right? Is this something that they do all the time working at Van Nuys? I work multiple frequencies all the time. It's something we trained. It was a standard we trained to, and we had to come up with techniques to deal with it. So we're going to listen to this Jazz Aviation thing, guys, and I'm going to let this play through. You know, I'm not going to lie to you. When I hear something good, I'm going to stop. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Shout out to everybody on Facebook for coming over. Who we got on Facebook? We got a couple people on Facebook. Shout out to y'all. Air Canada RJ performing. Yeah, it's Jazz 646. Landing runway 4.
Ground Unit 2384 is declaring an emergency. The flight attendants in the back are feeling ill because of the odor. We will need to go into any available gate at this time.
Okay, right. Do that. Hey, there's that again. Do you guys have any gate for United? Because now they're declaring an emergency. They want to get out. Yeah.
Let me ask them. I'll call you right back.
Okay, right there. Hey, it's Ed again, LaGuardia Tower. Now that United says he needs a gate, but so now he's declaring an emergency. But the ramp doesn't have a gate for him. Yeah, they're now.
We can get a stair truck if you need them to get off the plane.
Okay, yeah, do that just in case they want to come off. But so now he's on taxiway Alpha, just east of taxiway Kilo. All right, thanks, man. All right, bye-bye.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, we're going to stop it right there. All right. Now, actually, I would like to hear 10 minutes before all this happened, because I think this airplane tried to take off a couple times. You brought him back. So they got him parked at a spot that to me kind of looks like he's out of the way. I don't know their layout. I've never worked this airspace. I never worked this airport. But I'm looking at what's going on. I'm like, okay, got him in a spot. He's kind of out of the way. So I would not have taken it upon myself to call the gate trying to find out if they have a place for this airplane. When the aircraft says, hey, we need to get back to the gate. This smell is too bad. We got to get off the aircraft. Okay. I'm going to tell that aircraft to hold position, contact company. Let me know when you have a gate. Or let me know when you have a taxi request. But I want him to sit right there right now. I don't want him to move. But I'm not going to jump on the phone and try to get him a gate. I'm not. This is an emergency, true enough, but this is not a level 1 emergency. This is like a level 3 emergency. This is down a little bit. I'm not worried about this. I don't see fire. There's not, smoke coming off the aircraft. No one's smashed into the plane. Like, all right, this is an emergency, but this is not a hair on fire kind of situation. So I'm going to put it on the pilot. Contact company, because the pilots can do that. Contact company, let me know when you have a gate. Simple as that. I'm done. But when he got on that phone, he's on the phone now. All of the positions that he's working, all the frequencies he's listening to, they all go through the speaker while he's on the phone. So he has the people in his ear that he's talking to, but he has no idea who's calling, doing what, who's moving where, whatever. He's just he's removed from, he's no longer plugged into what's going on with his position, and he's dealing with this phone. So I would have right away, like, why are you trying to find a gate for this aircraft? Tell that captain to find a gate, and once he has a gate, to let you know so you can get him to the gate.
At 2384, the ramp doesn't have a gate for you yet, but I'm trying to get in touch with the Port Authority to see if they have something.
Copy.
Again, why are you?
And the fire trucks are over there. They're going to bring a stair truck just in case you guys do want to evacuate. Let me know if you do.
Copy. Yeah, we'd prefer to wait on a gate, but I mean, again, we only got so much time here because there's still a bit of an odor in the back of the airplane.
So all that was going on. I didn't hear anyone else checking in. It doesn't sound like it's real busy right now. Like there wasn't people calling for taxi. There wasn't people landing. So that's what's going on at the airport. Here's a shot of the radar. There's one aircraft inbound, maybe 15 miles out. You got this RJ inbound, hasn't even called yet. He's on the straight in to, looks like runway 4. So just based on this information right here, man, this wasn't a very complex situation that I'm looking at here. I'm thinking that there's a million people talking to him. He's got airplanes all over the place. He's got this United airplane that's trying to get back to the ramp because there's some sort of foul odor and people are getting sick in the back of the plane. He has this RJ on final landing runway 4. It's just now about to check in. And this dude is all on the phone trying to find a gate with the Port Authority or whatever's going on, which is probably the Airport Authority, trying to find a gate for this aircraft. He added to his workload. And why did he decide to add to his workload? There's nothing going on. It's not that busy. And he just told the pilot, hey, we got fire rescue coming out. So I'm assuming that he called, he hit the crash button. Like sometimes you have a phone, you pick up the crash phone and the crash trucks, the garage door opens up automatically. The crash guys run to the truck and they come out and they call you to, hey, what's going on? Where you need us? Sometimes there's a button, you could push a button and the same thing. It's just an automatic alert. It opens up the garage doors and the fire guys run into the trucks. They just come out. Hey, what do you need us? Sometimes you call them on the phone. We would do that. You know, you grab the crash phone, they get on the phone. A lot of entities get on the phone. It's like, hey, I need to talk to, truck 4, crash, airport, EMT, whatever you need, whatever their titles are. You get them on the phone. Hey, I got this aircraft on this taxiway. They have a foul odor. They've declared an emergency. I think it'd be a good idea if you guys go over there and check it out. Even if you do it before they declare an emergency. They haven't declared an emergency yet, but if you guys could send someone out to kind of see what's going on, that would be great. We don't have a gate yet. This is where they are. Okay. It's not a lot going on from an ATC perspective. Now I know why he's trying to get a gate, because he doesn't have a lot going on.
Jazz 646, yep. Delta 520, you're going to lane 8. Just hold short of Lima on runway 13 and just verify with the ramp that you'll be able to get in.
Okay, hold short of Lima on runway 13, and we'll talk to ramp, get back to you, Delta 520.
Thank you. I'm just verifying there's some shuffling of gates going on here due to an inbound that has an issue.
Roger.
And even that right there, okay, this is the guy who likes to work the mids. This is the guy who likes to come in when there's nothing going on. He's telling an aircraft that just landed to hold on the runway, let me know when you have a gate. Like hold on 13, at Lima or whatever, and just let me know when you have a gate. This is a poor technique, in my opinion. This is a poor technique. Luckily, nothing happened on 13. Right? Nothing happened on 13, but it's like, bro, what's going on? You never want to tell an aircraft to wait on the runway. I mean, there are times when you do it, when you are absolutely certain there's no one else coming in. There will be times when I would tell an aircraft, take your time on the runway. The runway's closed. You're the last one for tonight. That runway's closed. Take your time. Right? I'm not worried about it, but it just makes your ATC sense go crazy, like your spidey sense, like your ATC sense goes crazy. I don't like having airplanes on the runway. I just don't like it, bro. I just don't like it.
Jazz 646, LaGuardia.
Yeah, it's you for Dallas, 4 for Jazz 646.
646, number 2, clear to lane 4.
Close to land number 2 for Jazz 646.
Number 2, where's number 1?
And 2384, do you have a gate available at this time? Otherwise, we will be probably requesting air stairs.
Give me 1 second.
2384.
Right there, I would have said negative. Contact company. Advise when you have an update. Again, I'm getting rid of this problem. You just told this RJ he's number 2, cleared to land runway 4. Where's number 1? I didn't see another airplane on that radar display. Where's number 1? And you got another guy on runway 13, and you done told him to call you when he has a gate. Man, get that guy off the runway. Get him off the runway. This is, we're talking about the Swiss cheese analogy, man. Like what I'm hearing right now are some really bad decisions made by this air traffic controller, in my opinion.
Stand by, United. Who's the vehicle needed to cross the runway? Emergency vehicles calling on ground, or are you calling on tower?
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower.
Truck 1 and Company.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, crossing 4 at Delta.
Truck 4 and Company. So he doesn't know what frequency the vehicle's on. He said calling ground or tower. So right there, Truck 4, change my frequency, whatever the tower frequency is. Change my frequency, we'll just make up a frequency, 118.9. You know what I mean? Change the tower frequency, 118.9. And then the Truck 4, he would have to change the radio frequency and then call you again. That buys you some time. He told Truck 4 to cross the runway, and you got the RJ out there, right? Just barely above the deck. I mean, he's doing 130 knots. He's on short final. Now, the controller is worried about getting a gate for this airplane that has the smell. This is where the controller's priority is. And this is wrong. Like I said, that's like a level 3, you know what I mean, low level priority. Yeah, he called an emergency. The pilot declared an emergency, but that's not a priority 1 emergency. That's like a level 3 emergency, man. That's down here. You got one airplane on one. You got 2 runways. You got one airplane on your runway already. You got another airplane about to land. This controller's priority, in my opinion, should be on the active runways with these 2 airplanes landing. You got one airplane on runway 13 trying to find a spot. You got another airplane on short final trying to land. Don't move anybody. Don't runway crossings, especially for a vehicle in this type of situation, is the absolute last priority. Now, I know it's a little bit of Monday morning quarterbacking going on here, but I'm just saying technique-wise, I'm not worried about that jet. I'm telling the jet to talk to his company and let me know when you get a gate. Can't get a gate? Okay. Are they going to send you some steps? Fine. Let me know, let me know when you know something. But I'm working on getting that airplane off of runway 13 and getting him onto the taxiway. And my eyes are on runway 4. I'm doing a scan. I'm looking out the window. I can see my airplane. There's my airplane is lined up for the correct runway. I cleared him to land. I counted the arrival. I'm done with that. We don't count anymore, guys. That's just showing my age, man. We used to digitally count every airplane that landed. Now it's all done by computers. Brother Carlos is a pilot. The #1 pilot rule, man. Get off the runway as soon as possible, man. Pilots don't want to be on the runway either. No one wants to be on the runway, especially at night. Let's keep going.
Frontier 4195, just stop there, please. Stop. Truck 1, stop.
Yeah, 2384 is cleared in lane 8 for 41.
2384, proceed to ramp.
Proceed in.
Sorry, Truck 1. Stop, Truck 1. Stop. Stop, Truck 1. Stop.
4195, we're staying here.
Delta 2603, go around. Runway heading 2000. Jazz 646. Jazz 646, I see you collide with a vehicle here. Just hold position. I know you can't move. The vehicles are responding to you now.
Is the runway closed?
Delta 2603, go around. Runway heading 2000.
Right, 2000, go around. Delta 2603.
Now I get it. At this point, the guy is panicking. He told Delta 2603 to go around. That's not a valid instruction right there. Right? You can say cancel approach clearance, or you can just give them an altitude and the heading, fly runway heading, climb and maintain 2000. But saying go around doesn't make sense to Delta. Why are you telling me to go around? Was Delta even cleared to land? I think Delta was cleared to land. So like, why are you even telling me to go around? That doesn't make any sense right now. But at this point, the air traffic controller saw the accident. He know he screwed up bad. Delta's looking at this. Delta probably saw the accident. Like Delta's out there like, man, I just saw that RJ get nailed by a truck. Or whoever's taxiing around out there, United is out there looking like, man, that's horrible. And this and like this air traffic controller is probably, his career is probably over. He'll definitely never talk to another airplane in the tower environment. They might find him a job like in operations or something. He's downstairs pushing papers, but he'll never control again. And then you look at the weather. Winds are about calm, 040 at 5 miles visibility, light rain, mist, right? It's a scattered layer at 6,000. You got an overcast layer at 9,500, right? So that's your ceiling. Temperature and dew point is 8. Altimeter is 297.1. Routine stuff for New York. I mean, you got 5 miles of visibility. You got light rain. Got a little mist out there. Doesn't say any fog. Doesn't say anything like that. This controller, in my opinion, this is just horrific technique.
LaGuardia Tower.
Truck Route 2, runway 4 is closed, correct?
Yes, go on to runway 4 now. Proceed on runway 4. You have access.
Tower, car 0, runway 422 is closed at this time.
90, roger.
LaGuardia Tower, vehicle 98.
98. 98. Vehicle 98.
Vehicle 98, please show at this time. Runway 422 is closed. I repeat, runway 422 is closed at this time.
And there was
Even that part right there with vehicle 98 called LaGuardia Tower, vehicle 98, he just keys up and says 98. Again, horrible techniques. When I deal with a controller that has bad phraseology, 9 times out of 10, that's a sloppy controller. Like, you're not disciplined enough to just use standard phraseology. Vehicle 98 is calling LaGuardia Tower. His response should have been vehicle 98, LaGuardia Tower. And then vehicle 98 would have started saying whatever she had to say. But he's just keying up saying 98. And I get it. At this point, he realizes this is bad. He can see the crash. That horn you hear in the background sounds like the round. That sound, that's an emergency locator transmitter. That's an ELT. That is the device that goes off when an airplane crashes, and it sends out a signal so we can find it if it's out in the mountains or in the water or wherever it is. That's the ELT. That's what you were hearing. But and it's like it's what Brother Carlos is saying. This should not have happened. This should not have happened. This guy wasn't. I thought the guy was just inundated with traffic. He was up there working alone. Maybe he gave breaks out to people so they can come back and work all night or whatever. But I think this is the guy who's working a midnight shift. He's working by himself. He's not accustomed to working any kind of traffic. He wasn't dealing with any traffic. There was nothing really going on. You got this aircraft declared an emergency because of some foul odors. Okay, fine. Let that captain call his company and find out what they want to do with the airplane. That's not even a real priority. That airplane is not moving. And you got the crash vehicle coming. Okay, just hold on. Let me get this guy on the ground. The aircraft with the odor, it's not like they're going to open the door up for the crash vehicle. They can't get on the aircraft anyway, at least not at this point. They're okay sitting where they are. And this is air traffic control. This is how debriefs go. Right? This is how debriefs go. When we sit down like, hey man, how could you have done this better? And now we have people, again, you got people, everyone gets a trophy. No one's a loser. And they won't listen to you. Like, nah, man, you missed the call back. You missed the read back. You used the wrong call sign. And they just want to sit there and fight you on every little thing. It's like these forms are not designed to hurt you. This is what I would always tell my trainee. These forms are not designed to hurt you. Right? We put down everything you're doing wrong. And then slowly but surely we start knocking off these things because now you're doing it right. And before you know it, it's moderate traffic. Good job. Heavy, heavy traffic, complex traffic. Good job. You didn't do anything wrong. This is what you want to work towards that. But a lot of these youngins, they don't want to do the work. And they're saying that the people in the fire truck were actually cops, not firefighters. That could have been it. That could have been it. And I know a lot of people are asking, why is it that the fire truck didn't see the jet? That's a valid question, man. I don't know. It's nighttime. You can see that light from miles away. Why didn't they see? I would imagine the answer is they didn't look. The tower told us to go, so we're going. Maybe they were looking the wrong way. They weren't looking at runway 4. They were looking at 22. So it's like they're same runway, opposite direction. Instead of looking right, they were looking left. Instead of looking left, they were looking right. Tower said go, let's cross the street. And if it's true that the people in the vehicle weren't like the normal crew, Okay, how much training did they have driving around on the airport? Could that vehicle have gotten to the aircraft without crossing runways? The answer is going to be yes. There's service roads to take you all the way around the perimeter of the airport. They could have taken the service road. But again, this controller made a bunch of bad decisions, in my opinion, which led to the loss of life. This horrible crash, this loss of life. A lot of people who got hurt. Right. And I haven't read anything on the police thing or, the police driving the fire truck. But if that's the case, if because right now we'll have to say allegedly police officer was driving the fire truck, allegedly. But if that's the case, the NTSB is going to get to the bottom of it. The NTSB is going to be, all right, who was driving, who was in the vehicle, who was driving the vehicle. They're going to look at their training. How much did they get all the required training for operating that vehicle on the airport, operating that vehicle on the airport at night? They have to certify on that sort of thing. So that's it's there's procedure and procedure and procedure and procedure. There's so many procedures for this sort of thing, bro. So, how much are you going to charge the taxpayers? And, this is all federal money. This is all federal money. This is 100% on the FAA. When you have these crashes, when you have these incidents and the FAA is at fault, the reason everyone involved in the crash, all of the grieving people, like all the grieving family members, all the injured people, all the lawyers, when they come for the FAA. They come for the government because the government has the deepest pockets. They're going to sue everybody, but they're going for the government. And the FAA is 100% responsible for this. The air traffic controller told the vehicle to cross runway 4. Well, he said cross 4. Cross runway 4, which is what he's supposed to say. He said cross 4. And there was traffic landing on 4. And the truck and the airplane hit on the runway. When you go into that 7110.65, that's the Bible for air traffic controllers. That is the one thing that you're not supposed to do. The job of an air traffic controller is to prevent collisions in the system, period. When you're working in a tower environment, the only place where a tower controller has positive control is on the runway. You can weasel out on the taxiways and all these other places, but definitely the taxiway, like you have positive control on the taxiway, the ground controller is responsible for what's on that taxiway. The local controller is responsible for what's on that runway. That's the one place where the local controller, and that's the guy that talks to the airplanes using the runway in the sky, taking off, landing. The only place where they have positive controllers on the runway. That's the only place you can get in trouble as a tower controller. Something goes wrong on the runway, you got a problem. And that's exactly what happened. This dude,
Houston, we have a problem.
This dude has a serious problem. Appreciate it. Just appreciate it, man. Smooth TikTok, appreciate you. Appreciate you coming through. Love your breakdown since Fresh and Fin interview. You need a lot more exposure for your breakdowns. Hey, man, I thank you, man. Do me a favor and just, send out shares and do the likes, and hopefully we get the algorithm to put me in the red pill manosphere lane. And I think once we do that, I think we'll have some good people. We had a really good breakdown today. We were talking about Fresh and Fit, Myron and Saint in the Center, Marquette. That was a good video, I think. So thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. Shout out to you, man. Yeah, man, you're right, man. The money is gonna come from the federal government. There's no getting out of this. The federal government is going to pay. It's just horrific that people lost their lives in this, man. Those pilots on board that aircraft. The air traffic controllers are responsible for protecting that runway, man. There's no getting around that. That was drilled in my head as an air traffic controller. I'm talking day one back in 1990 when I was going through Army air traffic control school. When I got into the FAA, man, they drilled that into your head. Protect that runway at all costs. Protect that runway. And then people like, oh, he realized his mistake and he was trying to stop him. He was using bad phraseology. You wasn't quite sure who he was talking to when he was saying stop, 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 stop. Right? It was just horrific. There's just no getting around it. And this guy, if he's an old head, if this guy is a senior dude, this dude is going to retire. And if he's not close enough to retirement, they'll keep him in the FAA, but he'll never talk to airplanes again. He will never talk to airplanes again. And he shouldn't. I mean, this was just horrific. Did you watch a couple of years ago? There was an incident in Peru like this. No, I didn't see that. Something like this happened in Peru. We all have the same rules, and English is the official language of air traffic control. But I haven't really been watching international incidents. A passenger hit a fire truck and killed 2 firefighters in 2022. Now, I didn't know about that, bro. I did not know. Thanks for telling me. I watch what I can, and I'm definitely going to be doing some follow-up stories, not just on this particular incident, but like I was telling Brother Paul Bennett at what is it? Not Teterboro, not LaGuardia. At Newark. At Newark, they had an incident where they're running intersecting runways. When you got intersecting runways, bro, the airplanes cross. Those paths cross. You got to look at that. And you had the intersecting runways with the approach in, the front end of the runway, 2 airplanes landing, and one had to go around because the controllers screwed up. No one got hurt in that, but I think the closest proximity, I think the official proximity was 300 feet vertical. It's probably less than that. Right? Controllers got to step their game up. The problem is you can only put so much pressure on these controllers. What are you going to do? Fire them? You need controllers. It was an engine that hit the fire truck. That sounds familiar, but I didn't do anything on it, and I definitely didn't read anything on that. But yeah, we're having so many incidents out here, man. Will they wrap it up quick? Here's the thing, Brother Paul. Like, the NTSB investigation is going to take time. They take their time on these kind of things because they will get every single detail. And then it goes to court, and it's going to get drug out in court for, I would say, a couple of years. Even with the FAA accepting blame, it's still going to take, I think, a couple of years. And I've been through that process. I've had to go through processes where you go through, because you're going to have to deal with all the depositions. You're going to have to deal with like just getting all the information. And then, each lawyer is going to be doing their thing. And then all the lawyers will team up. And it's the worst thing. That's what that controller has to look forward to. That's what that controller has to look forward to. Dealing with the court and the depositions and all that. Brother, there will not be any criminal prosecution unless they find that that controller was drinking or using some illicit, drugs or whatever. If, which I doubt is the case. You just don't know, but they're going to do all that. They do the drug testing and all that. If you're working under the normal course and scope of your duties and you make a mistake, you cannot be prosecuted for it. They're not going to come. But if there's, let's say you have a crazy case where someone's like, there's somebody on that plane I don't like, and I'm going to bring that airplane down. And you said that. Let's say you went on your YouTube channel and said that, or TikTok, or you told somebody and then that airplane does go down, then yeah, you got a problem. But I don't believe that's the case here. You just got a guy who has really horrific techniques and got himself into a situation. And, people lost their lives behind it. Like, air traffic control ain't no joke. And by the way, if you're young and you're looking for a job, if anyone's looking for a very challenging career, the FAA is hiring. And they provide all the training. It's paid training. So all you need to be is a U.S. citizen or naturalized citizen with a high school diploma, and you can apply. And I have videos to show you exactly how to apply. And guess what, bro? If you think you got what it takes, you want to be an air traffic controller, check out the videos we did. Just type in DL saying air traffic control or DL saying how to be a controller. The videos will come up. Me and my brother, Jay Swan, did multiple videos on it. It's a very challenging career. I suggest you give it a try. The economy is collapsing, so you might as well work for the government. The pay is amazing, but you're going to be working your ass off, especially if you're someone who actually knows how to do the job. You're going to be working your ass off. People ask about the pay. The base pay is good, 6 figures, certainly, but with all the overtime and everything that's going on now, if you work at a place like LAX or Miami or any busy facility, you're probably looking at anywhere between $250,000 and north of $300,000 a year right now. That's with all the overtime and everything that's going on. There's lots of money being made. And if you have what it takes and you want to be an air traffic controller, hit me up on Instagram. I'll send you the video. If you have any questions, I'll answer your questions for you. My Instagram is scrolling below. So hit me on Instagram if you want to give it a shot. 18 years or older with I think you need 2 years work experience. Right. And people are like, well, I don't have any work experience if I'm 18. Did you ever have a paper route? Did you ever set up a lemonade stand? Did you ever work a part-time job? That's work experience. You qualify. And for those people out there, older folks, I know older folks like, I'll do it. There's a cutoff. You cannot be over age 31 at the time they make you the offer. That's due to mandatory retirement rules and stuff like that. So if you're 31 or older, you can't do it. But other than that, I tell people all the time, especially young people, man, fill out the paperwork. Go online and do it. You can go online right now and fill out the paperwork. I think they're at a point now where they're just going to have what we call an open bid, where it's just like, hey, just put your paperwork in. Normally, they only do it a couple times a year. Like, we'll take in these applications and blah, blah, blah. But now I think they're just like, bro, anybody wants to get us a shot. You know what I mean? Just tell us who you are. Put the paperwork in. You will have to do some testing and some other things. But if you get through the testing, they pay for all of your training to send you to Oklahoma City. You do all your training out there. If you successfully complete the academy, the FAA academy, you'll be sent to a facility and you'll start your career. And then, you know, the first 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years of your career will be nothing but training. But once you get done, bro, I'm telling you, it's a great career. I had an amazing time, but it's tough. This is not for the faint of heart. See, also, do you recall the last time or last year that the Brightline train hit the fire truck? I know the railroad, but it involves emergency crews. I think that down here in Florida, I think that train, that Brightline or whatever it is, it's always hitting somebody, hitting trucks, hitting cars. People down in Florida, man, they don't believe in physics, bro. I don't know what it is, man. They don't want to stop for the trains, man. So I don't know which one you're talking about exactly, but I have seen. Matter of fact, I watch on YouTube all the time. They just show people getting hit by trains, and I see, oh, that's Florida. Oh, that's Orlando. Oh, that's Fort Lauderdale. I see it all the time. But yeah, I don't normally cover Department of Transportation stuff. I don't know much about that world, so I don't cover it. I know about air traffic control, so I cover that. I know about the military, so I cover that. I know about womanizing and dating in the red pill space, so I cover that. So I know we have a lot of people that don't necessarily overlap, but I talk about a lot of things. This is what we like to do over here on I Really Want to Know podcast, man. We'll talk about politics. We'll talk about what's going on in the military. We'll talk about what's going on with the economy. People down here in Florida tell you, bro, it is bad down here with the economy, with what's going on in the housing market, especially with condos right now. But the whole thing is correcting big time. We'll do a show on that later on this week. I got 2 or 3 shows I definitely want to do. I got them lined up, guys. I want you guys to see what's going on down here with that. But yeah, Brother Carlos is a pilot, guys. This guy's he's a pilot. He flies his own airplane. Very good at what he does. I mean, and most people say, well, how do you know? Pilots they pay attention to detail, guys. They're flying these airplanes. They know their lives are on the line. Pilots are really good, very detail oriented. It's all about the checklist, baby. Brother Carlos, tell him, how many checklists do you have? It's like pilots live by the checklist. But like he's saying, man, you would definitely be terrified to see a truck approaching the runway and then passing the whole line, the whole bars, the whole short lines. And then when you look up and see that truck coming right at you, that will scare. I mean, I can only imagine what the pilots were thinking moments before impact. I guarantee you they were thinking this isn't supposed to happen. This isn't supposed to happen. What's going on? Why didn't the controller tell us about that truck? And there was nothing they can do. They probably increased speed. They were probably trying to get some speed so they can, do a quick touch and go, like bounce off the runway and take off again. But it probably happened so fast. It was just nothing they can do. There's just nothing they can do. As a trained person, hey, man, I might start looking into some trains, man, just for you, bro. I might just start looking at some train stuff. Maybe we'll cover it. I'll do one of those videos when they show all these crashes, and then you can tell me what type of trains they are. But I really like that Brightline. I wish that we could have a bullet train from Tampa to Orlando to Miami. I think that would be great. Wouldn't it be amazing if we can go from Tampa to Miami on a train and like get there in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours? I mean, it takes 4 hours to drive. If I could get on a train and be in Miami in 3 hours, man, I would do it. I would absolutely do it. Get off the train, man. Get yourself an Uber, man. Uber yourself on down to Brickell and just have a good old time, man. So let me write that down, man. I'll do some train stories. I'll do some train stories, man. Be looking for the thumbnails. Now, I don't know much about trains, but I'll do it for you, bro. Why not? You know what I mean? Be looking for some thumbnails. We'll do some train stories. So I'm gonna end it there, guys. Damn, as an air traffic controller, it absolutely just, man, it hurts me, man. It hurts me to see this sort of thing. I knew that this day was coming. And like I told Brother Paul Bennett, man, like this isn't the last that we're gonna see this, man. We're gonna see more and more close calls. You're gonna see more and more aircraft coming together. And it's sad. And there's just nothing the FAA can do about it. They can fix this problem by tomorrow. There's nothing the FAA can do about this. All the FAA can do, in my opinion, is hire as many people who are interested in being an air traffic controller, flood the FAA air traffic controller school in Oklahoma City. And just kind of like I said, man, just kind of like the Battle of Stalingrad, bro, just flooded with people. The first guy gets the rifle, the second guy gets the bullets. When the guy with the rifle falls, pick the guy with the bullet, pick up the rifle. And that's pretty much where they are. You just got to throw everything you can at this problem right now and hope that you get a couple of good controllers. That's the first thing. Second thing, you got to raise the training standards. You got to raise the training standards. There are too many controllers out here who just aren't competent enough to handle these situations. The video we just watched, man, there was absolutely nothing going on. There was nothing going on. You had an airplane that just landed on runway 13. They kept them on the runway. Bad technique. You had an airplane that was about to land on the runway, right? The Jazz Air, the Air Canada RJ. You had another airplane that was out there on final. You had 3 airplanes. You had a guy taxiing around, a United airplane that had an issue. It declared an emergency. You had that airplane. I mean, and that's it. Right? That's all he had. That's all this controller had. It doesn't get any easier than that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It just doesn't. This controller had the absolute worst day. And what could have helped this controller is if he had solid fundamentals. And it doesn't sound like he does. And people are like, well, how can you tell? I use phraseology. If your phraseology isn't sound, that means you're not paying attention to details. That tells me you like to cut corners. That tells me you're going to have some problems in this business. Simple as that. I could be wrong, but that's my take on that. If you want a pilot's perspective on this whole horrific incident, check out was it Pilot Steve on YouTube. I think I'm going to watch his breakdown and then kind of give my own little take on what he's talking about. But Pilot Steve is a professional pilot, been doing it forever. He's like a senior pilot kind of thing, and he talks about everything aviation related. He does really, really good breakdowns. Shout out to Jazz Aviation for putting out the transmissions. It is what it is. Oh, he's like, oh, don't worry. Oh, I was gonna do one, bro. I was gonna do one. And I still might. I might just for shits and giggles, just do a show when we watch people down here in Florida not stopping for trains, not stopping for trucks. You know what I'm saying? When you actually get to see physics working, it's one of those things. And most of the time, people don't even get, like, no one gets, hurt in the car gets destroyed. Obviously, you total your car, but most people are just kind of standing there like, oh dear, that oh dear look, and they don't know what's going on. But see, one more thing, Dio. If you do a train content, there's a specific content creator I want to recommend. He's very knowledgeable and campaigns for rail infrastructure. All right, I'll check him out. I'm writing it down right now. Alan Fisher. All right, I got him right here. Got him circled. I'm gonna look him up, see what he's doing. I wouldn't mind doing a video on trains, man. Bro, I did a video in my first year on YouTube. I did a video about a guy who is a professional like combat fighter. He does like combat sports, but it's like armor. They fight in like, I'm talking about like knights in shining armor. They fight each other in armor, bro. Like it's like it's an international thing. Like they actually fight, bro. They put on an armor. They'll have like battle axes and swords, and they actually go at each other. I think I'm gonna find that video and just kind of highlight it. Maybe I'll do some make some shorts out of it. That was a cool video, man. I like to just see random things and learn something new. Like this guy was really cool. I can't remember his name, but he was actually on his way down to Miami to train for some international event, bro. Maybe I'll do that again. Maybe I'll do another show and bring that up. People actually go out there, they buy their suits of armor, bro, and they beat each other about the head and stuff with it. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. My cousin who's in the Navy just hit me up, man. My little cousin's good to I'm just looking over. I seen him send me a text. I need to see what's up with him. Hopefully he's home. Hopefully he's not off in the Red Sea or over there in the Straits of Hormuz. Hopefully he's good. So yeah, man, I'm trying to let me catch up with the chats. I lost. You know what? I'm just gonna start here and just show everything one last time. So, all right, we're winding this down. I appreciate you guys checking me out, man. I hope you enjoyed it. They need to be fully gray saber. There's also fully electric train like in Japan. I rode the Japanese bullet train, bro, and I also rode the Chinese bullet train. I love everything about Japan. It was amazing. Japan is 100% way better than China, but the Chinese bullet train was better. The Chinese bullet train was better, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. But I'm lucky enough to say that I was able to ride both, and it was great. Being in that, like waiting at the station for the bullet train in Japan. I used to have this on film. It was on my other phone. That footage might be lost to history, but man, sometimes you're sitting there waiting, like the trains are coming up, people are getting on, the other train to come up. Then every now and then a bullet train to go through and won't slow down. It scared the hell out of me, bro. I was sitting in this bullet train, just went through like, wow, I'm like, what the? All the people were laughing at me because I wasn't expecting it. But Japan was great. I look forward to going back to Japan. Can't wait to go back. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I appreciate it having you. Thank you so much for rocking out with me. Y'all know what it is, man. I'm DL Saint. This is the I Really Want to Know podcast. We're definitely going to be following up on this air traffic control story, and I'm going to be doing other air traffic control stories to kind of let you know what's going on in the system. Until next time, y'all take care. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.
Thanks for watching. Really appreciate your support. And if you like that video, check out this one or maybe that one. We'll see you around. Peace.